To all our Yes, good evening. Tonight, our champion teacher will give us her compassionate guidance, and Sister Sansa will translate that for her. 认识着来要将咱的菜编传师慈悲是导脑 Let us invite our master Tsai.
感谢天龙书记，感谢祖师皇族，感谢师尊师表大德，感谢老人人甲各位点传师慈悲栽培，更加感谢在座今仔日修点传师、定点传师甲各位在座助理各位前贤大德，大家踮咧遮做伙来伫在即个空中内面，大家做伙来学习。
And you both quickly. Yeah, we mute them.
To teachers' grace and to heaven's grace and to teachers' virtue. Thank you to our Sichuan and Simu, and thank you also to all the Tian Chuansi, and to our Zhou Tian Chuansi and Tian Tian Chuansi, and also to everybody who are here attending our Zoom meeting tonight. Good evening.
今仔日咧，咱开班以前咧，放一首道歌感谢天，感谢地。
So before we started tonight, we had a Tao song entitled "Thank You to Heaven and to Thank You to Earth."
即摆即个点钟，咱即个新冠状肺炎病毒的流行的即个点钟咧，咱会当安尼平安踮咧遮，做伙来学习。安静有影爱，感谢天，感谢地。
So during this time, we are experiencing quite a difficult time because we have been with COVID-19 pandemic for a very long period already. So in order for us to be able to be safe and to have this chance to still be listening to lectures, we really have to be thankful to heaven and earth.
咱那个会用诶平平安安、欢欢喜喜，坐遮学习道理。咱是毋是爱感谢天，搁感谢地咧？
Especially that we are all safe and that we are all feeling happy and that we have this chance to listen to lectures. Are we not? Do we not need to give thanks to heaven and earth?
大家会当安尼目睭啉，搁会当呼吸。咱是毋是爱感谢天，感谢地？
And also that every day, every morning, we are able to wake up and to breathe properly. Isn't that reason enough for us to be thankful to heaven and earth?
那么咱今仔日做即个迄个两位青年昆岛青年因拢总是素食的家庭有诶内面有一个根本都无读过中文，伊嘛甲上手做甲遐尔好。
So our primary and secondary personnel tonight during our lighting of incense in our mind were both of them are from a family who are all vegetarians, and one of them even did not have any Chinese education, but we can see that they can still be the primary and the secondary personnel in a very proper and correct manner.
所以可见古早人讲到真对，讲天下无难事啦，只怕有心人。讲天下无什么困难的代志啦，但若听迄个歌有心要学的人啦。
So in Chinese, there is a saying that there is nothing that is difficult, or there is nothing that is impossible. It will happen as long as we have that persistent heart.
那么咱今仔日咧，就要继续甲各位道亲做伙学习的咧，就是顶几礼拜前诶，咱做伙来学习的民主思想、三边四用。
Tonight, we are going to continue with sharing with the topic about Mencius, that his three differences and four cultivations.
那么这个三边四用咧，是民主的一个迄个中心思想，伊道德的中心思想。
So the three differences and four cultivations are the central idea of the Mencius cultivation.
那么关于伊的一寡生平吼，甲伊伫咧道中的重要性啊，就我顶几礼拜已经有甲各位道先做一个简单的介绍。
So about the life and the importance of Mencius in our Tao lineage, we have already discussed them 2 weeks ago.
孔子甲民主的思想，孔子甲民主所说的话咧，对咱中国人几千年来中国人影响非常的大。
And the ideologies or the thoughts of Mencius and Confucius has had a very great influence in the Chinese culture.
唔是啊，对中国来对边迄寡日本、韩国、越南，拢嘛有真有影响。
And it does not affect only the Chinese people, but also the neighboring countries like Japan, Korea, were also greatly affected by their ideologies.
那么伫咱人的读册中咧，若是伫咧中国也好，是咧台湾也好，咧读册的点钟咧，先生甲咱教咧，动不动就是讲到孔子讲所说的话，还是民主所说的话。
So in the course of our education, when teachers are discussing about ideologies or thoughts, teachers will always mention about the teachings of Confucius and Mencius.
因为因一位是至圣，一位是亚圣。
Because one of them, Confucius, is the greatest sage, while Mencius is considered as the second sage.
拢伫咧即个道统内底咧，拢是一个祖师的地位。
So they are great seniors, great teachers in the Tao lineage.
拢是祖师，拢总是祖师。孔子甲民主拢是道统内面的祖师。
So they are our great teachers in our Tao lineage.
民主咧是东方第18代祖。
And Mencius is the 18th patriarch of the eastern side of the Tao lineage.
伫咧2000几年前嘅道统传到民主遮咧，就东方这边就登去咯，就传过去印度遐去咯。
So more than 2,000 years ago, Tao lineage was passed on until it reached Mencius, and it ended there because the Tao lineage was passed on to India.
所以民主的迄个道德思想咧，拢是咱做一贯道的弟子咧，爱多少去甲了解，去甲学习的。
That is why we say the thoughts or ideas of Mencius, we as a cultivator, we should try our best to know them and to understand them.
所以有时阵咱咧讲道理的时阵参像迄个姐嘛也好，Rosemary 也好，还是讲迄个助理美红助理也好，定定讲到一寡民主所说的话。
That is why during our lectures, most often our lecturers, like our sister Gemma, sister Rosemary, and our sister Lucy, will always have examples or add in the teachings of Mencius.
那么咱顶礼拜讲民主类的思想内底有这3边甲四用。那么咱今日继续来讲这个3边。
So last time, during our discussion about Mencius, we have mentioned about Mencius 3 differences or 3 discriminations and the 4 cultivations. So now let us go on with our discussion about the 3 differences.
咱即马甲咱的投影片咧，甲放喺咱顶礼拜所说迄个所在。
So let us move our slides to where we had stopped last time.
那么关于民主讲到民主，咱就爱讲到民主的妈妈孟母。
So when we mention about Mencius, we will always mention and remember about his mother.
伊有一个真伟大的母亲。
Mencius has a very great mother.
孔子嘛是一个真伟大的母亲。
Just the same, Confucius also had a very great mother.
因两位母亲呢都是伫个无老爸没有爸爸跟他妈妈安尼个这两个伟大的圣人个嘎嘎避难千古的那个圣人。
And both these two mothers were all raised their children, raised Confucius and Mencius up alone. They were single parents, and they were able to teach and develop their children to become sages.
拢是 single parents、single mother 甲这囡仔教甲遐尔。
Even though they were just single mothers, they were able to develop their children to be great people.
我刷到这个 slide 这投影片，咱就讲到下一张投影片，讲民主这个思想呢，伫咱定来讲道理的时阵，拢会去用到。
So some teachings or ideas of Mencius were always being used when we are doing lectures or discussions.
咱今仔无搁学着真多啦，无搁再复述太多吼，就在讲民主定来说啦，讲咱人若芳去鸡啊啦，狗啊，咱会晓去找啦，咱若良心芳无去，咱袂晓去找啦。
So we do not have time to discuss all of them, but one of those that Mencius has said was that he said, when our dogs and our chickens and dogs got lost, we know that we need to find them back. But when our heart or our nature or our true nature is lost, we do not know that we need to look for them.
那么学问啦，学道是要创啥？学问学道的方法无其他，就是要甲咱的良心甲找到倒来尔。
So what is the need for learning Tao and also for education? There is nothing else, but the most important is that we need to study or to learn in order that we may be able to look back for our lost nature.
那么民主阁有一个真有名的话，伊讲说吼，咱一个君主一个有道德的人咧，伊看到动物，看到伊死，就唔甘看到伊死，听到伊的声咧，就唔甘去食伊的肉。
So there is also another very popular or great saying of Mencius that he says that a virtuous person, when he sees the birth of an animal, he will not have the heart to see them die. When they hear the crying sound of an animal being killed, they will not have that heart to eat their meat.
所以民主咧，就是伫个2000年左右，就是提倡讲咱大家人爱素食啦，素食主义者。
So from here we can see that more than 2,000 years ago, Mencius was already a person promoting about vegetarianism.
所以咱来讲到为什么要看人食菜，咱就定定用到民主这句话。
So whenever we are trying to encourage people to become vegetarians, we will always use also these teachings of Mencius.
搁刷落去投影片，下一张。搁民主有足侪话，拢讲了真好。那么因为时间的关系咧，咱搁这几句话不过做一个复述。
So there were so many teachings of Mencius that were very great and very useful, but because of time, we may not repeat them anymore tonight.
咱即马来放个甲重点放个咱顶摆所讲即个3篇内面头一篇。
So let us now discuss about the 3 philosophical thoughts of Mencius about the 3 differences.
咱这民主的迄个中心思想，伊的迄个。 民主这本册内底四书内面民主这本册内底咧，甲伊归纳，甲伊做一个 conclusion 内面，就是讲咱做一个人咧，爱有3个分辨的能力。
So from the book of Mencius, when we talk about his main ideas on the book, the conclusion will always that we humans have the ability to differentiate things.
头一个分辨的，就是讲人甲动物有啥物无相同。
So the first thing is that we have the ability to differentiate the difference between a human and an animal.
人甲动物确实有无相同，
There are of course there are differences between human and an animal.
但是即个无相同的，民主认为讲人甲动物的无相同，差别无甲真多。
But for Mencius, he mentioned that he stated that of course there are differences between a human and an animal, but the difference is very minimal.
所以讲一句话讲吼，人之异义，禽兽以稀异。讲国语念就是这种，用国语念吼，就是说哈，人之异于禽兽，几稀异。讲人啊，甲动物无相同的所在咧，真水啦。
So the words of Mencius in English means that the difference between a human and an animal is very, very small.
啊，人会晓趁食倒三顿，动物嘛会晓趁食倒三顿。
That a human knows how to look and earn for a living, and animals also do know that they need to look for food to keep them alive.
啊，人会晓传宗接代吼，生子生孙，动物嘛会晓传宗接代，生子生孙。
When humans know that they need to create the next generations to have children or grandchildren, animals also do know that they need to have their succeeding generations.
哈，讲人会晓爱惜厝内的人，啊，动物嘛是共款会晓爱惜厝内的人。
When humans know that they knows the love for family, animals also do have the love for their family.
啊，所以咱中国有一句话啊，讲好啊人毒，伊嘛袂去食伊的囝。
That is why in Chinese there is a saying that no matter how worse a person or an animal is, he will never eat his offsprings.
哦，就是讲动物伊嘛是会爱护伊的家人啊，会爱护伊的囝儿啊，会爱护伊的某囝。
So that is why it proves that even animals, they do have love for their family members, for their children, and for their partners.
啊，啊人有一寡道德，有一寡德行，有一寡动物伊嘛是有一寡道德，有一寡德行。
When humans have good virtues, and animals also do have good virtues within them.
啊，譬如说，咱人上基本的道德就是友好、孝顺。
So the most basic virtue of a person is that we know filial piety, that we know we need to love our parents.
那么动物内底，咱看卖迄个乌鸦，吼，伊的饲大人，迄个乌鸦老咯，迄个少年的乌鸦咧，就去外口去讨趁，转来饲伊的老爸老母。
So just like the humans, we can see that animals also do have a great love for their parents, just like a hawk, that they also know that when their parents are old, they have to look for food and give it to their parents.
啊，譬如说羊啦，羊伊嘛是足友好的，伊要食伊老母的奶的时阵，唔敢徛喺食，拢是规个啉。
And also another example is the goat, that whenever a goat will have milk from his mother, they will not just go near their mother and have the milk. They will kneel down first before they have milk from their mother.
所以是真侪相同的所在哦，唔是讲无相同的所在。
So it proves that there are humans and animals have many things that are the same.
那么有啥物所在无相同的？就是讲人的人类咧，会晓自觉，会晓自省，会晓自我，会晓讲家己检讨家己，反省家己，改善家己。啊，动物咧就无即款的智慧。
So let us see what are the differences between a human and an animal. Humans know to self-reflect. They know to look at their own mistakes, and they know to introspect within them, and they know that they need to change what is wrong and to improve themselves.
啊，就是这点点哦，无大的差别咧。 和人甲动物完全无相同的命运。
So that is the very little difference between that makes a man or a human different from an animal.
所以咱即摆真正甲想咧咱若是要甲动物咧，咱若是无要家己求进步的时阵，干那要退步，干那要对老的时阵咧，落落去就是动物咯。
So if as a human, if we do not know to introspect, to self-reflect, and to seek for self-improvement, then we may be going backwards, and then where we will then be fallen down into become an animal.
所以伫个六道轮回内面后头一个克星道，咱人嘛是有可能会行落去遐。
So in the 6 realms of reincarnation, there is an animal realm. So the people as humans may also fall down into the animal realm.
若用另外一个角度来想咧，人若会晓自觉自我、自省，家己求进步，一天一天去脾气、改毛病、行功了愿、行功立德的时阵咧，那么就是对咱即个无相同即个智慧，甲伊提升，甲互伊进步，互伊进化，咱嘛是有一天有可能会变做天才，还是圣贤，还是神佛。
So as a human, if we know how to self-reflect, we know how to correct our mistakes, we know how to seek for improvement, then, and also we know how to correct our mistakes and to change our bad habits, then by doing that continuously, one day we may also become angels or sages or saints.
用一个较简单的话来说，就是讲，人若退一步咧，就是动物；人若进一步咧，要修行，要学道，要去甲道做出来的时阵咧，进一步，咱就是有法度做天才、神佛、圣贤。
So in short, it says that as a human, if we go backwards, then without seeking self-improvement, without knowing how to correct our mistakes, then we will be fallen into the animal realm. But as a human, if we know to seek self-improvement, then we may become a saint or a sage in the future.
即个良知良明诶，即个甲动物甲人无相同诶所在咧，就是一个关键点 （key point）。
So that is the key point that differentiates an animal from a human.
咱来好好去把握即个 key point。
So we have to make good use of that key point that we have within us.
咱用即个 key point 来甲去发挥去的时阵咱的未来咱的后出世的是完全无相同。
So if we can, if we know how to make good use of that little difference of human from an animal, then it will make a very great difference in our reincarnation. Maybe when we are having rebirth, it will help us a lot.
所以咱顶礼拜说到一个导影片，下一个 PPT。伊讲咱人咧讲最出世死落来咧，就有带四端的心来。
So next it says that as a human, when we are born into this world, we bring with us the 4 principles or the 4 beginnings.
For start, for
4
beginning。
starts, 4 beginnings.
这个是民主所说的话。
That was said by those were the words of Mencius.
伊说讲咱每一个人咧，咱拢有恻隐之心。
So he says that each one of us as a human, we have that heart of sympathy.
咱用国语来念，就是说讲恻隐之心，人皆有之。
So
这个恻隐的心，每一个人拢有。
so it says that this heart of sympathy is within each and every human being.
咱看到一个囡仔伫个果子边，安尼双脚徛无在，用要爬落去果子内底去摕水饮时，咱每一个人拢真正反应，就马上去甲个囡仔甲救起来，甲救起来。
So when when we see a small child standing beside a well and is about to fall down into the well, we as human, we may use our human nature and our instinct will tell us that we need to go to that child and to help him, to save him from falling down.
咱袂去想讲啊，迄个囡仔是我的好朋友，我得去甲救；啊是讲啊，迄个囡仔是我的冤仇人，我不爱去甲救，绝对袂安尼。
So in that situation, we will not think first of who that child is, or is that the child of my friend, or is that child of my enemy. Those thoughts will not come first. We will have that instinct that we need to help him.
是讲咱伫个路吼，看到一个痴迷的无看到啊，啊行唔到路，欠咱去互车弄着。
So just another instant is that when we see a blind person that is about to cross the street or is about to be hit by a car.
啊，有迄捌因知识的咱绝对会讲想办法去甲迄个痴迷的甲伊诱过来，互伊莫去互车弄着。
So as a human with that heart of sympathy, we will naturally go near the blind person and help him to prevent him from being hit by the car.
即款的同情心、切稳的心的，就是咱人良心内底迄个上界温柔、上界软的迄个所在。
So that heart of sympathy is that the benevolence within us.
迄个上软的所在咧，咱就甲叫做灵。
So that softest part in our heart is called benevolence.
敢若亲像土豆也好，迄个芋头也好，还是讲莲子也好，还是讲顶礼拜讲到莲子嘛，莲子的心嘛好，还是讲到迄个酸奶的籽好，也是好内面迄个每一个籽内底拢有一个尖尖的所在，迄个叫做灵。
So just like in a fruit, when we open the seed of a fruit, like the lotus seed or the seed of a mango, when we open up the seed at the center, we will find a small part that is pointed. That is the din.
迄个鳞里咧，若无迄个尖尖的做迄个鳞咧，咱若家己摕单雕咧，迄个酸仔籽也好，迄个土豆鳞也好，迄个籽个摕单雕，还是讲莲子内面莲子心你个压单雕，你甲放喺土个种种袂活啦。
So whatever seed we have, if we take away that little part at the center of the seed, and then we try to plant it, it will not grow anymore.
那么咱早上咱这个上柔软、上软的这个人主的心，也该摕单雕咧，人就唔是人咯，人就唔是人咯。
So and as a human, if we take away also that softest part within us, the benevolence within us, then we may no longer be human anymore.
那么大家人拢有灵的时阵，大家人有法度甲这个世界创啊足好的。
And if every one of us in this world has benevolence within us, then we may create a very good and very good environment for us to live in.
每一个果子，每一个树木，伊若有灵的时阵一定会富嘅，一定会生发，一定会大长，一定有生的希望。
So all the seeds, when they have the din at the center of its seed, it will grow. It will naturally grow, and it will sprout, and it will become a mature plant.
所以这个灵，这个理咧，灵这个德行咧，伫易经内底讲，这个人敢若亲像早时日头对东边出来同款，即天有希望咯。这个灵就是代表也东方。
So in the Book of Changes, benevolence is compared to as the sun, because with sun everything grows. So the benevolence is placed at the eastern side.
人有灵咧，地球有希望；动物有灵咧，有法度大汉。植物有灵咧，有法度富个大汉。
So when man has benevolence within them, they will have hope of great future. When plants or seeds have had that din in its center, it will grow and will become a good matured plant.
所以孔子讲哦，一世人就一直推广，讲咱做人爱有仁，有这个伦理。
So that is why Confucius it was always encouraging us to have benevolence within us.
孔子讲推广仁道。
So Confucius is always promoting benevolence.
那么过来第二个端的心就是修恶之心，人皆有之。会晓知影歹势，会晓知影厌恶迄个心的每一个人拢有。
So the second good side or the second good start of a human is that the principle of righteousness, that each and every one of us have that feeling of shame within us.
咱人就是甲动物无同啦。你讲动物咯，袂晓知影歹势，伊可能会踮咧规面顶做咱做袂出来的代志，咱人会。
So the difference within a human and an animal is that animal may just do anything in public, while humans, we know that we should not do some of the things that we should not do in public.
所以因摆迄个原始时代咧，人就会晓讲去找迄个树叶啊，甲身躯砍掉，还是讲摕迄寡织布来织布，甲身躯甲伊砍起来，则袂歹势。
So that is why even in the olden times, people will knows that they need to have even just leaves to cover them up, and people also had the idea that they need to make clothes to cover the body.
这个人会做出啥出来，就是讲每一个人有这个会晓知影歹势，会晓知影什么无应该显现互别人的，有这款的心。什么代志袂做你做，这款的心每一个人拢有，这叫做义。什么会做你做，什么袂做你做，这叫做义。
So that is why we have clothes. We wear clothes because we know that we need to cover up ourselves. Because as a human, we know the principle of righteousness, and we know that there are things that we should not let others see, because we humans have shame within us.
这个知影歹势，这个心叫做义啦，转化做义。义这个道德咧，在《易经》内底咧，伊上西方。
So the heart, the feeling of shame, it means righteousness, and righteousness is placed in the Book of Changes is placed on the western direction.
那么第三个心的4个端嘛，第三迄个端的心叫做恭敬之心，人皆有之。恭敬的心咧，每一个人拢有。这个恭敬的心咧，一直甲发挥出来，就变做礼貌的礼。
So the third is the third direction, or the third good start, is the principle of propriety. That it is within also every human being, that if we have that feeling of respect, it will become it will be means courtesy.
咱人就是甲一般的动物无相同啦。动物可能是连讲什么人摕物件饲，伊就是会家人做主人。咱人唔是干那安尼尔。咱看到有德行的人，有道德的人，对社会有贡献的人，咱会对伊真正有礼数，对伊真正尊敬，迄叫做恭敬的心，恭敬的心。
So that is another difference between a human and an animal. That as an animal, they will just follow or love the person who gives them food. But as a human, we will have great respect for all the virtuous people, and we will learn from them, and we will know that we have to respect them and to bow to them.
咱看到即款咱尊敬的，逐个咱尊敬的心的人，逐个咱尊敬的人的时阵咧，咱自然会甲伊行礼，会甲作揖，爱用甚至会甲伊叩首。
So when we see people that are with great virtues, we will naturally have great respect for them, and we will naturally know that we need to bow to them or to do koso to them.
哦，因为这个吼，即款你自然的就是会安尼啦。譬如说吼，因摆吼30几年前，前辈破病，转去迄个台湾去医身躯的时阵吼，迄个张老前人，逐工早起就是一抓，暗暝就是一抓，一工两抓拢去病厝去看前辈。
Yes. More than 30 years ago, when our Tsai Qianpei was sick, he went back to Taiwan to be treated. So when he was under treatment, our Zhang Lao Qianren was always visiting him. He was even visiting him in the morning and in the afternoon.
非常准时哦，早起伊袂食，拜拜掉你就来甲看前辈。到下晡伊就无处理好啊，伊就定时定迄个点钟就是来看前辈，逐工拢无变，一工两摆。
So he was very on time. Our Tsai Qianpei was very on time during those times. That every day after his offering ceremonies, he will just go straight to visit Tsai Qianpei. And then in the afternoon, when he's finished with all his Tao duties, he will again visit Tsai Qianpei, and he was always on time.
阮即摆囝儿孙啊，看到张老前人安尼遐尼疼惜，遐尼关心，阮的是大人哦。头开始咧，阮就家行咧啦，到尾啊看到就想要甲靠送啦。
So for the children of Tsai Qianpei, when they have observed about the great love and respect of Tsai Qianpei, Zhang Lao Qianren for Tsai Qianpei, in beginning they will just bow to him when he visits, but later on they realize that his great love, and then they naturally perform koso to him every time he visits.
阮几个兄弟就讲看到就想要规甲伊靠送。
So the brothers and sisters of our Tsai Dianchuansi, all when they saw him during that time, they will perform koso to him.
因为什么呢？因为逐日咱甲伊尊敬的时阵呢，咱就想要用咱上当的礼数来表达咱对伊的感恩。
So that why? Because they were very grateful to him. That is why they naturally performed the highest respect to him.
那么这款的恭敬的心，甲发挥出来就是变礼数咯。这个礼就是从这样的开始咯。
So courtesy begins here from propriety, from respect.
那么这个礼呢，这个开端就是伫个人平，叫易经的解说伫个人方。
So the principle of propriety in the Book of Changes is placed on the southern direction.
所以讲南方的人有礼数。
That is why we say that people from the south are very courteous.
咱讲菲律宾人嘛，就有礼数哦。咱两个人踮咩啊讲话哦，踮咩边啊，甲咱行过，伊就安尼头讲加，安尼 excuse me 安尼甲咱行一个礼哦。不管你册读多啊，读少，人拢足有礼貌的。
So that is why we can see the people from the Philippines are all very courteous. That when there are two people talking and they want to pass between them, they will always bow their head and say, "Excuse me," and they will just go by very silently.
所以哦，这个
Courteous.
南方的人呢，礼数拢做了袂歹。
So we can see that people from the south all are very courteous and they are performing it very well.
那么另外最后一个心呢，叫做孰非之心应该有之是非之心，人皆有之。讲这个会晓判断讲什么是对的，什么是唔对，这个心呢是每一个人拢有的。
So next is the heart with the feeling of approving or disapproving. It is essential and is present within everyone.
那么这个是非的心，该开动，该发动啊， 变做智慧。
So when that heart of approving and disapproving is activated, it will become wisdom.
啊，那么伫个夜经的归水，吼、这个智慧，这个智力啊，是伫个北边。
So in the book of changes, this principle of wisdom is placed on the northern side.
啊，因为吼、北边的人诶，伫个较寒的所在，
So on the people from the northern direction lives in the place that have colder temperatures.
啊，这个冰天雪地内面吼，你都要用真对的方法，才好做生存。
So in places where the temperatures are very low and it is very cold, they need to know the proper ways for them to live.
吼、这个 proper way，这个对的方法啦，就是讲，什么是对的，什么是唔对的，就是道道的变做人的智慧，安尼产生出来。
So that knowledge of knowing what is right or what are the proper ways will eventually become wisdom.
好，那么零甲二咧，一个咧东边，一个西边，安尼甲连做伙咧，就是变一条横线。
So courtesy and wisdom, courtesy from the south and wisdom from the north, when we connect them, it will create a vertical line.
啊，安尼咧零甲二，吼东边甲西边，你连起来就是一个水平线咯，横线。
And from the west, the propriety and to the righteousness, and to the east of benevolence, when they are connected, they will create a horizontal line.
好，那么这两条线连做伙咧，就有一个中心点。
When the two lines are connected, it will create a center point.
好，这个中心点叫做中央木基土。
So the center point is the Pyongyang Mokito.
咱在读弥勒真经，吼，咱每一拜五咧读弥勒真经的时阵，咱读到云雷震开雾极土，啊，用咱人话念讲，云雷顶开木基土。
So in the Mila Zhenjing, there is a portion that when we recite it, it says that Yun Lei Zheng Kai Wu Ji Tu.
啊，这个木基土，这个位就是咱的心。
So that Wu Ji Tu is that center point within us.
好，咱个二咧之心甲念做伙咧，啊，是毋是就是基督教、耶稣教所显的迄个十字架？
So when the two lines are connected, it creates the cross that we can often see from the Christians.
好，那么这个十字架咧，咱每一个人有一个十字架啦。圣经内面讲，咱都爱抬十字架啦，抬行啦。
So in the Bible, it says that each and every one of us has to carry our own cross.
那么十字架伫咧倒影咧，就是一个咱点到迄个现观。
So where can we find the cross within us? It is on the place where that Artian Transit touch us when we receive Tao.
唔是电传师 touch us， 而是电传师诶，奉着济公老师替济公老师去做这项代志，济公老师给咱点诶。
So in reality, it was our teacher Qigong who touched us, and it was he only used the body of Artian Transit to do that.
甲咱济公老师甲咱说咧，咱每一个人拢有中央无基础，每一个人拢有灵义咧知识。
So Qigong Buddha Qigong told us that each and every one of us have empathy, righteousness, courtesy, wisdom, and benevolence within us.
你个灵义咧知识咧是咱人死落来就有诶啦。
So those things are with us from the very moment that we were born to this world.
灵义呢智信啦，这个是味格啦，就是咱的良知良灵。
So that cross within us is our conscience.
这个良知良灵呢，我都互咱倒落去时阵，还是拜拜的时阵，互咱会去自我反省、自我检讨、自我觉照，这就是人甲动物无相同的所在。
So that great conscience and great wisdom within us will help us. Just like when we are doing the offering ceremonies, when we bow down, it will help us to self-reflect. And that is what makes us different from an animal.
如果咱若是做人做甲无良知、无良灵，
But if as a human, we do not have conscience or wisdom,
这款的人就是人的面受的心，人面兽心，面是生做人啦，心肝敢若动物共款。
so if we do not have the good conscience and the great wisdom within us, then we are a person with the face of a human, but with the heart of an animal.
时时的人每伊无恻隐之心，无羞恶之心，无恭敬之心，无是非之心的时阵，这个人叫做人面兽心。
So when a human do not have that feeling of commiseration, or do not have shame, or do not have modesty, or do not have that feeling of approving or disapproving within them, then they are to be considered as a person with a human face, but with the heart of the beast.
所以咱若定讲这个人安尼穿甲安尼，拢会穿甲安尼高尚的，不过伊的心肝咧，根本都毋是人的心肝，咱讲伊是I-Kuan禽兽。
So when we see people that are wearing very expensive or very elegant clothes, but they have the heart of a beast, we call them as a beast cloth. We call them as a person who is a beast cloth as a human.
所以咱今仔日咱大家咱每一个人，今嘛坐喺遮听，大家拢总是已经知道啊。
So most of us, even every one of us here listening to this lecture, have all received Tao.
嘛开始要学道。
And we are all starting to learn about Tao.
咱已经爱定就提醒家己。
So we have to always remind ourselves.
会记诶甲迄良知良灵每一工做一个显现。
So that we have to remind ourselves that every day we have to look back at us and look for our conscience and great wisdom.
咱每一个人拢是老母娘的好囝。
We should remember that each and every one of us are the children of our Mother in heaven.
咱一定爱注重家己，尊重家己，家己庄严家己。
So we need to have self-respect.
家己爱庄严家己庄严嘛。
And to we have
家己甲做 SALEM。
we have to solemnize ourselves and to respect ourselves.
所以民主佮讲一句足有名的话啦，就下骹即句咯。
So there is another great saying by Mencius.
民主说讲敬人者人行敬之，爱人者人行爱之，就是讲用国语念的，敬人者人恒敬之，爱人者人恒爱之。咱若会晓尊敬人的人咧，会晓尊敬别人的人咧，别人一定永远会尊敬咱。咱若会晓爱别人的人咧，人就永远，别人就永远会爱咱。
So another great saying by Mencius is that when we know how to respect other people, we will naturally get other people's respect for us. When we know to love others, we will naturally gain their love for us.
那么这就是人甲动物这点的差别，嘛是最大的差别。
So that is the difference between a human and an animal. And that is the greatest, to be considered as the greatest difference between a human and an animal.
好，那个来看下一张的投影片。好，过来第二个迄个辨别的民主，甲咱强调，甲咱强调，就是咱甲即个利咧、利益咧，甲即个义咧，爱分别得清楚。
So the next difference that Mencius has taught us is that we as a human, we should know to distinguish between interest and righteousness.
好，什么是对咱有利益的较要紧的，还是利益的较要紧？
So we should know which is more important, our profit or interest or righteousness and benevolence.
咱会知影倒一项物件较要紧。你若要两项拢卖时阵咧，爱偌侪 percent？
So we should know how to differentiate them and to know which one is more important to us. And if we are to choose between them, or if we are to have both of them, we should have the knowledge to see which one has a more percentage and which one should have a lesser percentage.
利益大家拢爱啦，对咱有益大家拢爱。
So each and every one of us loves to have interest or have profit.
咱即个利益，若去甲利益冲突的时阵咧，你要摕倒一项？
But when we are in a situation where profit is in conflict with righteousness, we should know which one to choose.
是毋是？咱拄着要紧的时阵，为着咱的良心，咱是毋会当做到即个性命歹滴的，咱嘛袂爱伫即个道理舍身取义，咱做会到无？
So when we are faced with a situation where we have to sacrifice our life in order for us to choose righteousness, can we do it?
所以民主即本册内底啦，民主即本册是迄个民主的学生，对民主去甲世界甲人讲道理的迄块道理，甲写，甲记载，甲记落来，甲咱佛经共款是佛祖的学生，甲佛祖所说的道理，甲记嘅共款迄个道理。
So in the book of Mencius, it is a book, it is not written by Mencius himself, but it was a compilation of all the things, of all the teachings of Mencius, and it was written, listed down and written by his disciples.
那么民主的头一个 chapter 头一篇就是讲民主去见梁惠王，见一个王叫做梁惠王，梁国一个叫做惠王，这个王啦。
So in the first chapter of the book of Mencius is really says that Mencius went to meet the king of the Liang Empire.
那么民主见到梁惠王的时阵哦，梁惠王一个见到伊就讲你这个了有名的先生，你今日来到阮这个国家，你是毋是有法度教阮有啥物利益？通对阮的梁国有帮助？有啥物利益啊？
So when the king met Mencius, the first thing that he asked Mencius is that, is there a way that you can teach us so that we can gain profits or benefits for our country?
那么民主迄个点睛咧，孔子是春秋的点睛，民主的点睛，凭孔子的点睛，春秋更较乱，规个中国有几啊十个国家叫做战国时代。
So during that time of Mencius, it was a time where there were so many wars and there were so many countries within China, and it was a time of really unrest and fight, and there are so many fights during that time.
战国，什么叫做战国了？就是这个国家甲这个国家拍来拍去，一直在相战。
So when we say 战国, it was the time when the different countries within China were trying to fight against each other.
这个国家拍迄个国家，东边国家拍西边国家，南边国家拍北边国家，拍来拍去，拍到老百姓非常的可怜，拍来拍去是要哪种做啊？要哪有饭通吃？
So during that time, all the countries within China were fighting and striving for the greatest interest for their own country. Countries from the south will fight the countries from the north, and countries from the east will fight the countries from the west. And it was a time of unrest, and that it was the world during that time in China was miserable, and people were not having a good life because of that.
老百姓真可怜呐。
And it was a pity for the people, for the citizens or the common people during that time.
所以民主就甲即个量费用说啊，我讲咱每一个国家的国王，拢咧找讲什么款的大利益，找什么款的大利益。所以你在即个国家拍迄个国家，迄个国家拍即个国家，那么即个世界就非常的悲哀，非常的惨。
So what Mencius told the king was that because all of you, all the countries from here are all trying and
找好康的啦。
planning to fight other countries in order to gain profit for their own interests. That is why you are creating such a miserable world for or people are very people are having a very hard time during that period.
啊，对顶悬甲下骹咧，大家目睭拢足贪的，就是要共摕，要共压，要共抢。
And in the country, all the people from the highest ranking to the common people, all they have in mind was greed, that they want to have what others, they have to get what others own, and they want to fight in order to grab what others have.
安尼，即个国家就是一个悲惨的国家。
And it is creating a very sad country.
所以应该咱做一个国王的人，咱毋是要找讲什么款的利益，咱是应该想讲，咱是毋是用一个民主的方法，有道义的方法来去下功夫，互咱的百姓有法度种作，有法度三顿通食，那么即个国家就甲下人徛落去咯。
So the answer of Mencius to the king was that every country now is fighting and striving for the greatest interest of your own, and it is creating such a miserable world. But instead, you should do or rule your countries using benevolence and righteousness. And if that is so, your country will become livable, and the people may come and live a happy and safe life. And that then the country will naturally become prosperous.
咱会想讲啊，即个国家人伊无咧拍战，迄老百姓佫会种菜、种巴奶、种米，我都倒三顿，安尼我来迄个国家徛。
So so people will have that thinking that when there is a place that has no war, and that people, the common people, can go plant their own food, then most people will try to travel or to move to that place.
真侪国家要来咱遮种作，要来咱遮讨趁的时阵哦，即个国家出问题，国家就会强起来。
So when more and more people wanted to live in that community or in that country, then it will create a prosperous country, and it will become a powerful and rich country.
所以啊，国王啊，咱唔通受利益啊，咱应该爱受民意啦。
So Mencius told the king that you should not think of interest or profit. Instead, think of benevolence and righteousness.
孔子讲仁啦，
So Confucius mentioned about benevolence.
仁就是咱拄话讲的迄个英文嘛，无就是慈祥、kind、善良。
So benevolence means being kind.
善良、善良安尼时阵大家嘛要来你这国家，敢若像咱即摆一寡菲律宾人走去加拿大，为什么走去加拿大咧？因为加拿大真好徛住，真好趁食。
So it means benevolence. There is kindness within benevolence. That is why when a place has kindness within it, people will want to move there. Just like people here from the Philippines, most of us will want to travel and move to stay in Canada, because we know that Canada is a place that is very nice to live in.
真侪亞洲的百姓移民去加拿大。
And even other people from other Asian countries will also want to move to Canada.
安尼时阵，迄个国家咧，真侪人来的时阵伊就愈来愈兴旺，愈来愈好个。
So when a country will have people moving to live in that country, then that country will eventually change into and improve into a powerful and rich country.
好趁食咧，迄个国家都有条规咧，大家会晓 self discipline 咧吼，时阵吼，那么你要叫伊莫来嘛是无可能啦，你要叫伊莫强莫好个也是无可能的代志啦。
So when many people wants to move in a place where there is peace, and then people have knows self-discipline, then even if we want to stop that country from being prosperous, from being advanced, we cannot do it. We cannot stop it.
做一个国家咧，大家百姓拢有条规吼，守本分、有礼仪的时阵，大家人嘛拢爱去。
So when a country has citizens who are law-abiding, who are respectful, and who are righteous, then other people will also want to move there.
伊免广告人就会爱去啦，不用广告，唔免广告人就会爱去。
There is no need for advertisement to invite people to live in that place. People will just naturally want to go there.
有阮的嘛，有迄个条规，有迄个礼仪，有迄个道义的时阵，迄个国家自然人会爱去。
When a place has good law, when there is benevolence and there is righteousness within that country, people will naturally want to live there.
再过来咱讲煞落去了，咱下一章，讲9点半书因个故乡阮厝边尔，厝边有一间庙叫做三中庙。
So in the hometown of our Zhoutian Chuanshi, there is a temple called the Three Loyal Temple.
这三个loyalist 的人人家去一间庙去甲拜。
Because within the temple, there were 3 loyal heroes, and people made the temple to pay respect to them.
这款的庙在中国也有啦，有人拜一几千年、几百年、几千年咯。
So these kinds of temple, the 3 loyal temple is situated in Taiwan. While in China, there are also temples who are built for that purpose, and people will go and pay respect for their heroes. And the temples will live for thousands of years.
这三个中神是中的人先人咧，就是宋朝马六要结束的时阵，要蒙古人占据元朝的时阵，有三个真正中的中神，一个叫做文天祥，一个叫做陆秀夫，一个叫做张世杰，这三个人。
So these 3 heroes were heroes or ministers during the last part of the Song dynasty. It was the period where the Song dynasty was about to be rolled down by the Mongols. And these 3 loyal heroes were Wen Tianxiang, Lu Xiufu, and Zhang Sijie.
这文天祥咧，迄个时阵是首相 （Prime Minister）。
During that time, Wen Tianxiang was the prime minister.
蒙古人甲伊掠去啊！
And he was taken by the Mongolians.
用相大的利益，来甲引诱伊讲你就来，阮元朝来投降阮元朝，投降阮蒙古人，你嘛是原在会做宰相。
So he was taken by the Mongols, and he was offered that if he will surrender to the Mongols, then he will still gain back his position as a prime minister.
文天祥伊唔啦，伊讲我甘愿舍身取义，我的性命会这里无去，我嘛是要出这个义的道理。
But Wen Tianxiang turned down their offer, and he did not want to surrender to them. He will even choose to sacrifice himself rather than to sacrifice his righteousness.
伊就是唔投降即个蒙古人啦，唔做原条的迄个宰相，做啊互迄个蒙古人给杀死咯。咁完事嘛是了有忠有义。
So because he did not agree to surrender to the Mongols, so he did not even accept the offer that he may become the prime minister. Because he did not surrender to them, he was killed by the Mongolians.
这陆秀夫甲张世杰佫较感动人，伊无投降人尔咧，伊佫甲迄个伊个细细汉的皇帝，上细汉上尾有个皇帝甲爱着，两个人含迄个细皇帝、细汉的皇帝，做伙咧跳海，为着宋朝咧跳海落去死。
So for Lu Xiufu and Zhang Sijie, they were even more having an even more touching story because they did not just refuse to surrender, they even bring with them the boy king, the little boy who was the king during that time, and they jump with that king into the sea for suicide.
所以几千年来你三个人就是定人囥喺庙内面甲拜，
That is why
真惨嘛啦，就是几千年拢有人喺甲拜。
So that is why these three heroes, even though that their stories were very sad, but people respected them for their righteousness and people were paying respect for them.
那么伫西方的世界嘛共款啊，你看咧法国有一个圣女贞德，伊感觉拢小事，伊嘛是要爱国。
So in the Western countries, there were also stories like that.
圣女贞德啊，圣女贞德，咱会晓翻译无？一个路诶，伊讲圣女贞德，贞德卷哈。
So it was the Saint Jude that she will also not sacrifice her righteousness, and she will choose to sacrifice herself.
有真侪人，有真侪人，真侪英雄啦，所以马丁路德金啦，伊就为着伊个迄个义气，根本无性命，伊嘛要去做伊应该爱做的代志，根本牺牲性命。嘛要去做对的代志，叫做舍身取义。
So there are so many examples in the Western world. Another is Martin Luther King, that he will choose to sacrifice his own self rather than to give up righteousness.
所以民主讲到这个义甲义的时阵，就是甲咱提醒讲，咱良心内面要有一把尺，一把尺。
So Mencius is always reminding us that we should have righteousness within us, that each and every one of us should have a ruler, something to measure within us. 拄着违背咱道德的底线的时阵，咱千万唔通超过。So that whenever it will go over our limit for our righteousness and benevolence, we should never do things, two things that will go over the limit.
下一章。第三个边咧，就是王甲霸的分别。
So the third difference is the difference between a king and a bully.
王道甲霸道有啥物无相同？
So what are their differences?
一个国王，咱拄仔讲到梁惠王啦，的时阵就讲迄个拢是王。
So when we call them some kings, we refer to them as kings.
那么咱西方世界有 Arthur King Arthur。
So in the Western world, there are an example is King Arthur.
嘛有迄个 David King 大卫王 King David。
There is also King David.
那么这个做一个 king， 伊要有什么款的 quality？
So what are the qualities of a king?
就做国王的迄个道理叫做王道。
So if one has a good quality to become a king, then it is a王道。
那么用礼仪，用道德来管理天下，这叫做王道。
So when a person, a leader or ruler uses benevolence and righteousness to rule his kingdom or his country, then he is a righteous king.
啊。那么霸道就是霸道，就是用武力，用拳头武，用迄个战争，用武器，来统治天下，伊叫做霸道。
So another kind of ruler is a ruler who uses violence, uses weapon, uses force to rule his country, to rule his citizens. Then they are considered as a domineering leader or a bully.
所以民主的说，王霸之必就是讲用灵义的是王啦，用武力的，用迄个weapon的，迄就是霸啦。
So when a ruler uses benevolence and righteousness to rule, then he is to be considered as a king. When a ruler uses weapon or uses violence, then he is considered a dominant leader.
咱要做一个王的，咱到底是要做王还是要做霸？咱来分别就清楚。
So when we are to become a leader, are we going to be a righteous leader using benevolence and righteousness, or are we going to become a leader who uses power or weapon or violence?
爱分别就清楚哦。咱来用灵义来管理国家、管理天下，这个国家、这个天下就太平。
So when a leader uses benevolence and righteousness to rule his countrymen, then the country will be a peaceful and safe country to live in.
咱来用个武力来，用武器啦，用战争来统治天下的时阵哦，老百姓足可怜的，唔知要怎样活落去的时阵呢，伊一定会起来反抗这个国王。
So when a ruler or a leader uses violence, uses force to rule his country, then he will create a very pitiful citizen under him. And then these people, when they cannot bear anymore his violence, they will all come up and to fight to bring him down.
安尼时阵哦，国家就袂国泰民安啦。
In that case, the country will not have peace and prosperity.
你做国王的人，搁安那马拉加斯啦，你也做袂久啦。
So as a king, no matter how strong you are, you or powerful you are, a king may not last very long.
头家嘛相同啊，咱做人头家嘛共款。
And just like even not when we do not refer as a king, we may also say as a boss or as an employer. That is also the case.
你若用迄个安尼，甲伊关心嘛，用甲伊疼惜来管理员工的时阵哦，员工就甲会掉。
So if we use care and love to rule or to bring our followers or our employees, they will stay with us longer.
你若用迄高压 high pressure 来管理的时阵哦，拢住袂久啦。
But if we use pressure, we use high pressure methods, then these people may not stay with us so long.
咱看卖嘛，真使用是中国头一个皇帝，头一个 emperor， 伊安尼个好不容易甲迄中国统一了，结果伊用这个霸道嚟做10几年就结束啦。
So another example is Emperor Qing. He was the first emperor of China, and he was the one who was able to unite the whole China. But he only ruled his dynasty for more than 10 years.
你真使用是真伟大啦！迄个战国迄个时阵乱七八糟的战争时代甲结束啊，甲中国统一起来。但是伊就是袂晓用这个王道去管理伊的国家，到尾啊咧，伊甲做15年啊，就结束了。
So Emperor Qing was a very great leader, a great emperor. He was able to unite China because before that, China was composed of different countries that was fighting with each other. But Emperor Qing was the one who was able to unite China into one. But he was not. His rule only lasted for 15 years.
那么咱顶礼拜听迄个宣传助理伊讲一个亚历山大大帝的故事。
So last week we have also heard a lecture from our sister Swan Swan, who mentioned about Alexander the Great.
这亚历山大伊毋是王伊是 emperor， 伊是帝。
So Alexander the Great is not just a king, he was an emperor.
为什么是 emperor？真简单吼，伊的天下拍足大的。
Why was he referred to as an emperor? Very
Ah,
simple, because he has conquered so many countries and he has owned so a big area under him.
对，伊会用讲吼，西方世界内底吼，伊拍上大的江山出来。
So in the Western side of the world, he was one referred to as a king, an emperor who has created the biggest empire for himself.
对希腊拍来个意大利，拍到规个欧洲拢是伊的。
So he started his fight from Greece, and then he conquered most of Europe, and then even and most parts of Europe he was already under his command.
啊，个向倒手边一直拍来个后，拍来个非洲。
And then he proceeded to fight in Africa.
啊，个拍正手边拍这个中亚这边个拍到印度。
So from the right side, he proceeded also to India.
安尼哦，足厉害，30几个都安尼有遐尼大的江山。
So he was really a great person, because he was only just a little more than 30 years old during that time, when he has already created a very great and big empire for himself.
啊，遐定去想啦。
But Artian Chuansu was always thinking.
伊若吼，毋是30几个都无去啊吼。伊若活较久的时阵吼，伊安尼拍来拍去，到尾也嘛换人拍伊啊。
So Artian Chuansu was thinking that had he not died in a very young age, then he would have proceeded in his fights and his conquering of the different countries.
吼，你会去安尼去共侵占，去甲人迄个珠宝啦、土地啦抢来啊！你会晓讲百姓甲抢来做努力啦。人有一天人较强的时阵嘛30，比你较强的时阵呢，30会甲你抢过来。
So when all you do is to fight other countries and to conquer other countries and to get the wealth of other countries, then and to get the people to become your slaves, then one day when a certain country is rising up and become powerful, they will also come back and fight you.
所以用这个霸道来统治天下，一般拢袂久。你看伊30几个就过身啊。
So when power or violence is used in conquering or in ruling an empire, it will not really last long. We can see that from Alexander the Great, he died just at more than 30 years old.
吼，伊虽然已经勇啊，不过伊规身躯的正气、正气也用完啊啦，性命就结束啊。
Even though that he was a very strong person physically, but when his positive energies were all used up, then his life ended.
所以应该是迄过身已经互伊体会真深，所以才讲迄个三个愿望，甲迄个伊所趁着的、所占着的，甲伊医病的医生咧，讲三个条件出来，顶礼拜就讲啊。 伊就一定有真大的体会，伫要过往以前有真大的体会，再甲伊的观察亚能康甲伊的手伸出来，你看，我安尼双手空空来，抢啊恁侪物件，结果嘛是双手空空转去。
So before the death of Alexander the Great, he must have great realizations of what he has done during his lifetime that made him create those 3 wishes before he died. That he wanted to make 2 holes out of his coffin, so that he wanted to show people that empty-handed he came to this world, and he has to leave this world also empty-handed.
好，那么伫咱中国这边啊，元朝元朝，那元朝的迄个源头是就是成吉思汗。
So in the Asian part, from the Yuan dynasty, the beginning of that was from Genghis Khan.
这个成吉思汗呢，伊嘛是共款啊，对安尼蒙古拍个规中国，甲拍倒，甲宋朝拍倒，啊，讲甲迄个欧洲嘛，结捌差不多啊。
So Genghis Khan also was a person that has a lot or has conquered a lot. That he has conquered. He started from the Song Dynasty and then he conquered a lot of countries under him.
伊来因即个蒙古人来中国占来做元朝，嘛安尼做无几十年就结束啊。
So when the Mongolians come to conquer the Yuan dynasty, it did not also last very long.
为什么袂久咧？因为伊就是袂晓用这个灵义来管理中国。
So why is it that it cannot last long? The reason is that they do not know how to use benevolence and righteousness to rule the country.
所以有一摆迄个中秋节附近的时阵啊，咱迄个美皇助理有讲到中秋月饼。
So that is why one year during the Mid-Autumn Festival, our sister Lucia has mentioned about a story of the Mid-Autumn Festival, the mooncake.
这 mooncake 有啥物 mooncake 咧？迄 mooncake 就是迄款中国人要反对蒙古人，大家约无好，用一个饼做一个饼，饼内面放一个字条，讲什么时阵咱要来去拍蒙古人。
So why is there a mooncake? Why is there mooncake? How was the mooncake created? It was during that time that people wanted to fight the Mongols, that they created a cake and then they put inside their instructions and their schedules and their plans to fight back the Mongols. That is why we have the mooncake now.
安尼就是因为尽管蒙古人管理中国人，管理了无仁无义，干那用这军头武，用这武器，用这 power 来统治中国人，中国人挡袂牢，用做月饼的方法，约束伫什么时阵、什么所在，用什么方法来反对蒙古人，尾啊就是蒙古中国人来变落倒，变无去咯。元朝结束就变明朝。
So because during that time the Genghis Khan did not rule China using benevolence and righteousness. He ruled instead the Chinese people using violence and power. That is why it made the people wanted to fight back and to run him down. So they created, they planned to fight them, and then they used the mooncake, where they put a paper inside the mooncake stating the different plans, their schedules, and their ways how to fight back. And in the end, Genghis Khan was brought down by the Chinese people.
咱若安尼伤济共压迫，安尼来共管理人的时阵人是挡袂牢啦。
So if we use a lot of power or pressure to rule a country or to rule people, people cannot live long under that kind of pressure.
咱看迄个高家才过身的迄个伊丽莎白二世人伊做70年做有够久。
So let us now look at a queen who just died last September of this year, Queen Elizabeth, that he was able to rule as a queen for 70 years.
这个现代历史上会当做70年的迄个王也是无简单。
So to be able to be a ruler or a queen for 70 years in our present times is not a simple thing. It's not an easy thing to do.
遐尼侪国家的迄个钱拢用伊的相片去做钱。
So many countries are using the face or picture of Queen Elizabeth and printing them on their money.
那伊就是安怎？伊就是无去阮的，用这温柔的方法去做王。
So she ruled as using a compassionate heart.
温柔用一个温柔，用一个无为的方法去做案。
So he was using a very soft and tender manner in ruling, in her ruling the country.
即款的方法叫做王道。
So that kind of a leader is a 王道.
今仔日咧，咱就较简单，甲即个民主的三个边咧做一个结束。
So that was our Tian Chuan's discussion or explanation of the 3 differences stated by Mencius.
过来迄个使用，当时要讲咧，我唔知影。
So the next there are the 4 the next is the 4 cultivations, and we may have to make a different schedule for that discussion.
希望咧，咱各位道亲咧，大家听即个即个学习的，听民主即个道理的时阵咧，当伫个内面得到一寡体会。
So our Tian Chuan's hopes that we may realize, using the teachings of Mencius, we may have some realizations and understandings.
提醒咱家己咧，咱人甲动物是无同的。
To remind ourselves that we humans are different from animals.
仁义甲利益是无相同的。
In that benevolence and righteousness is different from profit or gains.
王道甲霸道更较无相同。
So, and also to rule as a king using benevolence is different from being a king or a ruler using power and violence.
那么民主的学说咧，非常生动 ，amazing。
So the teachings of Mencius are very amazing.
希望咱有迄个机会，大家做伙来学习。
And let us all hope that we can have another chance to learn together again.
古早人的智慧绝对是咱的一个学习的对象。
So the wisdom of the ancient people are the ones that we should learn from and follow through.
那么现在踮咧遮，多谢各位点thần书，多谢各位前人代表。
So our discussion will end at this point. Our Tian Chuan's wants to thank our Zhou Tian Chuan's and Tian Tian Chuan's, and also to everybody who are here listening to the lecture tonight.
祝各位道亲大家健康、平安、幸福、法喜充满。
So our Tian Chuan's wants to wish every one of us with good health, with good safety, with happiness, and with joy, Dharma joy within every one of us.
谢谢各位，晚安。
Thank you everyone and good night.